Okay, so in this stream, I'm going to be working in Lem, and I'm going to be changing iSearch so that it works for me. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you how iSearch normally works, and then I'm going to show you the things that I've done to change it. The thing is that the kind of typing that I use, the input system that I use for typing, puts a space after every word that I type. So for example, I'm gonna write 2 semicolons, and it added a space. If I write, for example, the word "this" is stenotypy, I'm adding a word after every. Adding a space after every word. That's just the way this system works. Okay. So basically, what I need to do is I need to figure out a way so that iSearch works with this system. Okay. So let's check some things out. Now, the first thing that I'm gonna fix with iSearch, there's this weird bug. Okay, so let me. I'm gonna search for semicolon and space, 2 semicolons and space. Okay, that looks good. And I'm gonna do Control S to go to the next one to go to 0. I'm gonna go to 0. And then I'm gonna hit Enter or Control M. Now notice that I've exited out of iSearch, but the 2 semicolons and the space are highlighted. I like that feature a lot. Now I can go to the next instances of 2 semicolons in space. So I'm gonna do that now. Alt S and then N, and I go to the next instance. Alt S and then N, and I go to the next instance. If I do it again, I'm gonna go to 3. But something is weird with Alt S P, which is previous instance of the search string. So Alt S P, Alt S P. It skips 1. So really if I'm at 0, I should go to -1. But I'm gonna go to first set of numbers. Alt S and P. So it skips 1. So I'm gonna fix that so that Alt S and P will only go 1. Will only go 1. So let's go to the bottom of this scratch file. I have it somewhere here. Where is that? Oh yeah, here we go. So basically, fixes iSearch previous highlight. That's the first thing I'm going to do. Oh, whoops, hold on. So it'll give me some warnings. No big deal. And now let's go back. So now I'm gonna do what I did before. 2 semicolons in space, and then I'm gonna go to 0. Alt S N, that works fine. Now I'm gonna do Alt S P, and I should go to the beginning of this line because I'm at the end of it. And now I'll go to 2, and then I'll go to 1, and then I'll go to 0, and then -1. So that's fixed. Okay, and then the other things that I'm going to do with lem. Okay, so with lem, let's go back to the beginning of the buffer. I'm going to type something in. Let's say 0. So search and then 0. Now remember, with my input system, I add a space after every word. So that 0 doesn't come up with anything because the 0 on line 21 doesn't have a space after it. You can't see it, but it doesn't have a space after it. But I need it to match. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press Control H to delete. And now we have 0 and it matches the 0 on line 21. Hope you can see that. But my cursor isn't there. So if I, for example, press Control E, it's on line 0. Right, so let's go back. I'm gonna do that again. 0, and then Control H. So what I need it to do is when I delete a space, I need it to go to the 0. I need it to just move there. Now, this behavior, like for example, where backspace doesn't update the cursor to go to the first match, I'm guessing it has advantages. I mean, like, because you're not moving anywhere, and then I can hit, for example, Control S and then go to 0. So it's not terrible behavior, not at all. I can understand why it would be the default, but for me, because I use stenotypy, it doesn't work well for me. So what I needed to do is I needed to go to the first match when I hit backspace. Okay, so let's go to the end of the file. Basically how I've done this, okay, so here we go. I've defined a variable, isearch direction, created that variable, and then I'm going to define the command isearch forward, which is already it's already been defined in the isearch module of lem, but I'm going to redefine it. And what I'm going to do at the very end is add this set q isearch direction and then assign it the value of isearch next. So when I search forward, it will assign this value of isearch next to isearch direction because that's the direction I'm going in, isearch forward. So I'm going to evaluate that. And then I'm going to evaluate isearch backward. And same thing with the regex isearch pair. And so now here, when I do isearch delete char, which is Control H, what's gonna happen is it's gonna do a fun call. It's gonna call the isearch direction, the one that I've assigned it to. So when I do a search backwards, isearch direction becomes isearch prev or isearch previous. And when I do an isearch forward, it becomes isearch next. That way, when I delete it, it'll go to the first instance. Hope that makes sense. And that's it. Yeah, that's it. So let's go back to the beginning and do what we were. So I'm gonna go back and what was I searching for before? Let me think. 0. That's right. So I'm gonna hit Control S and then 0. But it doesn't match because there's a space. So now I'm gonna delete the space with Control H, and now I'm sent directly to 0. And that's it. That was like the final that was like the final thing that I needed to do with Lem to make it so that I could just main it, so that I could just use it all the time. That was like the last thing that I needed to fix so that our iSearch would be in perfect condition. Because iSearch really is like the most important navigation tool for an editor, right? For if you go to the professional editors, the real ones, that search is like the most important thing. If you can master search, you'll be fine. And of course, the search is, besides that bug that I was talking about before, Lem search is great, really really great, because it uses Perl compatible regular expressions. So it's like super nice. The problem though is that with my input system, stenotyping, it doesn't work one to one. It doesn't work perfectly. So I just had to make those changes to make it work. And that's pretty much it. I think that I think that's the last thing that I needed to change in Lem before I mained it. There is one more annoyance that I have, and maybe you've noticed it. Sometimes when I'm, like, for example, I'll show you right here. Okay, I thought that was gonna give me an error. Somehow that worked. Lisp is like that. When I try to get an error, it still works. Okay, but let's see. Well, what the thing is that when I evaluate things, I very often get warnings. And the problem with that is that the warnings split the window in two. So I get this after the warning. And so basically I'm always having to press Control X and then 1 to go back to the one window. So that's the only annoyance that I have with Lem. So basically what I'm going to have to do is put Control X and then 1 on a key so that I can just hit it, because I'm always getting warnings. I'm literally always getting warnings. Let's try. Maybe we can get it. No. Oh yeah, and that is one more feature that I've added. So one feature that one direction that I've decided to go in, I'm using a lot of key maps. So for example, Alt or Meta K, Meta K, yes, and then L will delete the whole line. And sometimes I don't want to delete the line, right? Sometimes I just want to copy the line. So I'll hit Meta K and then capital L. And that will copy the line. So I'm going to do it now. I'm actually going to do it with this line. So I'm on the K, Meta K, capital L. And I've just copied MKL. Pretty sure I have. So let's test it. There we go. So Alt K L will delete the line. Alt K capital L will copy the line. So I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it for Lem. After this, it's very very close. Very close to what I want it to be. I still have to add Pareto mode for Lisp. I had Pareto mode. But when I switched over to Linux a few months ago, which failed in the end, my experiment failed because Plover would crash X11. When I did that, I forgot to copy my Lem files, so I lost a whole bunch of stuff that I was using in Lem. And yeah, it was a big loss. It was a big loss, and I forgot Pareto mode, so that was a bummer. So I have to work on Pareto mode, and I think that's pretty much it. I mean, like I'm talking about very very close to like perfection, and right now, Lem is just great for me. Like I can now with these add-ons, with these changes, Lem is just gonna be perfect for me. All right, so that's all I want to do. Just a little bit of an update on on some Lem stuff.